training shifts north. It is Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where the Sox are today in Miller Park. Spring training baseball between the Sox and Brewers is brought to you by
Canals Auto Park.
So glad to have you along for the ride. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone along with you. One final time for the Sox to get a look at their players before the regular season hits on Monday. And the pitching matchup involves two guys that should be in the starting rotation at the start of the year.
A couple of veterans going head-to-head. We saw Derek Holland early in the spring, and he threw the ball very well. And Jimmy Nelson with an ERA very similar to Holland's. Last time out, he got everything over the plate. It was against the Dodgers, and they're a pretty good hitting baseball team, but he handled them through 6 innings. Jimmy Nelson on the other side, probably scheduled to be the 5th starter for these Brewers. He's got a good fastball, has a terrific sinker when he keeps it down. He's working on control. That's been a factor. That's what they've done in spring training. You see both making their 5th start. ERA, well, pretty similar. Innings, same thing. So both of these guys trying to get through this last outing, make sure they're entirely healthy, and look forward to this championship season, which is right around the corner.
About 45 degrees ago, we talked to Jacob May early on in our final telecast from Arizona, the starting center fielder today and likely on opening day.
And he certainly earned it. Jacob May had a wonderful spring, both offensively and defensively, showed he could steal a base. Here's a base hit to left field. And all things considered, knowing that the job was open, Jacob May went out and he just got it. He played exceptionally well defensively. We'll see one coming up, which really was a highlight reel shot. Great diving stab. Obviously a very happy man with that kind of defense, and looks to me like he's going to be there for a bit, hitting .333. He scored 11 runs. That's the big number because he's going to hit in the top of the order. You look for him to set the table and then have the big guys drive him home.
Old American League rivals getting underway very shortly from here in Miller Park. The Sox and the Brewers' first pitch is just around the corner. Milwaukee, as we get you set for the regular season starting on Monday. And as the Sox have come from Arizona, some of the other guys that we saw in the Cactus League have scattered to the minors already. One of those is Michael Kopech, a guy the Sox got from Boston in the Chris Sale trade in the offseason. So with Kopech starting in the minors, we asked him what his plan is for this season.
As unrealistic as it may sound to some people, I want to be in the big leagues at some point this year. I have a goal that I want to meet. I've accomplished a lot of my goals in the past year, and I think that's something I can do. I think it's within reach for me. But I realize that may take some time at the minor league level to, dominate hitters and just, do what the White Sox have planned for me. But ultimately, that's what I want to do.
It's team strategy meets ambition there. What's it like for a player who's got a lot of talent but is starting in the minors?
Well, I think Michael realizes that he's got a good enough fastball to pitch anywhere in the world. The question will be the secondary pitches. That's what he's going there to work on. In the back of his mind, it might be that he would prefer to be a starting pitcher, and they would like to see him, at least in the early going, try to do that. Maybe his future is as a closer. I don't know. He certainly throws well enough to do that. If he can get some depth on the slider, throw the occasional straight change, I think we got ourselves a pretty good and valuable commodity in Michael Kopech. He's excited, as are we.
We're excited for this game to get underway as well from Miller Park. Starting lineups and a defense and starting pitchers and 9 innings of baseball, all coming up from Milwaukee. Two teams that were right on 500 during the Cactus League, 16-16-2 for the Sox, 16-16-1 for the Brewers. That includes yesterday's Brewers win over the Sox here in spring training play in Miller Park. And here's what's coming up for the Sox. Regular season gets underway on Monday, then an off day Tuesday, 2 more with the Tigers, and 3 against Minnesota in that opening homestand.
And to a man, each and every one of the players and coaches and Ricky Renteria, the manager, everybody wants the season to start because this has been an exceptionally long spring training. It was 1 week longer because of the World Baseball Classic. Everybody has certainly had the consummate amount of work in. This is game number 35. When you look at spring training games, Ricky Renteria is very excited about this, his first year managing the White Sox. He was happy in spring training that some of the things that he looks for, which is aggressiveness and execution both on offense and defense, they were a bit better this spring. It's a much more aggressive team, and I know it's going to carry over into the season.
Well, there will be speed at the top of the card if the lineup looks anything like today's starting lineup for Ricky Renteria and the White Sox. Jacob May, who's had a couple of 30 stolen base seasons in the minors prior to last year. Then Tim Anderson, who we know has speed. Melky Abreu Frazier. Danny Hayes in the 6th position, getting 1 more chance before the regular season than Avi Garcia, Omar Narvaez, and Yolmer Sanchez batting 9th.
Let's take a look at the defense and how they're going to line up behind Jimmy Nelson. It's Ryan Braun, Deion Broxton, and Domingo Santana in the outfield. Hernan Perez at third base with Orlando Arcia, the really good, talented young shortstop. Jonathan Villar coming off a huge year with Jesus Aguilar, who came over from the Indians. Manny Pena gets a nod behind the plate. Jimmy Nelson on the hill. He's a hard-throwing right-hander who really has to live and die on that sinker. This is 4th start, his 5th game overall. The ERA up over 5.5. And as you can see, when he keeps the ball in the ballpark, people don't hit him very well because they can't square up that fastball. It is upwards of 95, 96. The umpires for the game today. Behind the plate is John Tumpane. And then some combination of Marty Foster, Mark Carlson, and Nick Lentz will handle the base paths. And as we've seen in the spring, they usually move around a bit so everybody gets a different look except the man behind the plate. And so, with John Tumpane looking on, we are ready to play baseball.
Let's do it from here in Miller Park. One last exhibition for the Sox, and then time to go with the Tigers. About 46 hours from now, the Sox and Tigers will be underway from the newly christened Guaranteed Rate Field. May, a switch hitter in his mid-20s, 22 out of 66 in spring training so far against the former Brewers second-round pick, Jimmy Nelson. First pitch is a strike.
Got to make Nelson get the ball up, because as a sinker baller, he's trying to get you to hit the top of the baseball. If you take a look at a fastball and it looks like it's belt high, that's a pitch you go after. If it's knee high, it's going to drop out of the zone.
On the ground, VR at second for out number one. I mean, you talk about how important strike one is for pitchers. Jimmy Nelson, it's really magnified. 86 walks last year, 65 the year before.
Yeah, I mean, he realizes the control wasn't there. That first at bat was an illustration of what Nelson wants to do. He threw a fastball for a strike, then threw a good sinker, and Jacob just rolled over the top of it, an easy ground out. And Nelson knows control and going forward with better control will help him.
One down for Tim Anderson, who really does like that 2 spot in the order. We'll see how much he's there during the regular season. We saw him bounce around for Robin Ventura last year with Ricky Renteria. We've seen Anderson quite a bit in the 2 spot.
There's going to be one thing that a 2-hitter has to do, especially if he hits behind May. And sometimes it complicates things for him, and we'll tell you about it
after the 0-1. Anderson floats it to right. Santana is there with a jogging grab for out number 2.
The only thing with a number 2 hitter behind a base stealer is that you have to learn to take pitches. Tim Anderson, because he's very young, is very aggressive. So for him, taking pitches is not normal. But if you're behind a base stealer, you have to give him a chance to steal bases. Consequently, the best 2 hitters are guys that can hit down in the count. And we'll see if Anderson can do that.
4 pitches, 2 outs for Jimmy Nelson. And here is Melky. Bat left-handed against Nelson. And there's ball 1. Brewers last year, 73 wins, 89 losses. Their hope is that they've got some young players coming up and they can be contenders at least in the wild card this year.
They've got a few very good players in their minor league system.
Could say that last year as well, and some of them have already shown up here in the majors.
And one of the guys that's really good is Luis Brinson. And talking with Bob Uecker and a number of other people around the Brewers, they believe Brinson is going to be up in the not too distant future. He has got a world of talent.
Melky a drive to right field. Santana can only look up. Melky clears the wall. It's 1-0.
Second home run, 8th driven in by Melky this spring. And we talked about sinker ballers being the most vulnerable in the first couple of innings because the ball doesn't sink all that much. Here's an example of it. Nelson trying to sink it low and in to Melky, but he gets it pretty much thigh high, middle third, and gone. That's the 3rd home run that Nelson's given up this spring.
That was a big problem for him last year. He allowed 25 homers in 32 starts for Milwaukee as Abreu takes ball 1.
Nobody really will get on you about throwing home runs, assuming you're not walking a guy or 2 before the home run. Solo home runs don't hurt you all that much.
Broken bat grounder to third, and Perez throws out Abreu to retire the side. 6 pitches on the outside of the home run were good for Nelson. In the middle, Melky gives the Sox a 1-0 lead. lineup. Villar leads off, then Broxton, Ryan Braun, followed by Domingo Santana, then Aguilar, who came over from the Indians and had a bang-up spring. Perez, Pena, Arcia, and Neuenhuis, the lineup for Milwaukee.
And we'll take a look at the defense and how they'll line up behind Holland. It's Cabrera, May, and Garcia in the outfield with Frazier, Anderson, Sanchez, and Hayes in the infield. Omar Narvaez behind the plate. Derek Holland on the hill, looking to duplicate his last outing, which was brilliant. This is his 5th start. And the ERA a little higher than he would like. Also walks more than strikeouts isn't too good.
First pitch hunting, Villar to right field. Avi's after it, and that ball bounces foul. Called a foul ball, and strike one.
Avi doesn't have a whole lot of room down there, and probably not all that used to catching a fly ball when you have to look up at a closed roof. He comes over now. He sees where the padding is, and he knows he's got to step.
Well, that's a fair ball, Steve.
Well, it might not be. Depending on if he touched it. If he touched it and it's foul territory, in the opinion of the umpire, then it is indeed a foul ball. And we don't have any replays. Even though the ball landed fair, could very well be he touched it foul. The end result is Villar has another opportunity, as does Avi on the next fly ball.
At first look, I didn't see the contact with the glove, but it very well could be that Avi touched that in foul territory. One and two on Villar.
Villar's going to be their starting second baseman. And with the numbers he had last year, including those 62 steals, you can tell he's a very valuable man. But there's a lot of folks that wonder if he's going to be able to keep up that level of talent that he exhibited last year, which was very, very strong.
He was the league leader in stolen bases and caught stealings. He was 62 out of 80 in stolen bases. Nice pitch, strike three. Holland pumps it over the inside corner to strike out Villar.
You can see where Omar wants it. He's setting up low and in, and he just dots the inside corner. Perfect pitch, great location, well framed by Omar Narvaez. That was one of the first things that's jumped out at us last year when Omar got here, his ability to handle pitchers and frame pitches.
Here's 26-year-old Keon Broxton, who swings at an off-speed pitch for strike one. First full season last year for Broxton, or close to it in the majors. He only had 7 games 2 years ago, then played about half the season worth in terms of games played, but he was up with Milwaukee for the balance of the year. Hit .242.
The Brewers really like his upside. They're just wondering if he'll make enough contact. And one of the reasons why they didn't sign Chris Carter, who led the league in home runs, back again was the fact that this entire lineup struck out way too much. Carter, one of the leading guys in that department. Broxton's going to have to cut down somewhat on that swing, but he's got great skills. And again, Bob Uecker, going over his lineup, thinks that this guy's got a chance to be pretty good. And of course, it will depend on how much contact he makes.
In the air left of center, Broxton makes it a long run for May. And we see the speed from Keon Broxton, gunning it for third. The throw is not in. No, he is out. Wow, Broxton called out at third.
Good rotation on the part of John Tompane, because he went to third base to make the call as the umpires rotated with this drive. It appeared to be a double, but when it shot the gap, then Broxton thinking about 3 bases. May gets it in quickly, throws it right where it has to be. Tim Anderson with a perfect throw, and the ball's waiting for Broxton to arrive. So they're not going to get on you making the second out at third base. Not necessarily a bad play, but he was indeed out. Nice throw by Anderson. So well coordinated between May, Anderson, and the tag by Frazier.
Beautiful job by Frazier to get that tag down. I didn't think there was any way they were going to get him, and Frazier finished the deal. So 2 down for Ryan Braun.
We'll watch it again. Well, we might have caught a break.
That's over May's head. Ryan Braun has extra bases, and he's going to take 2 here. 2-out double for the Brewers left fielder Braun.
Hardest ball to judge is one that's hit right at you, and this line drive rocket just kept on going. So for Jacob May, who hasn't seen the ball off the bat of Ryan Braun too often, it explodes. And he came in, took a step or two to his right before realizing that that ball just accelerated. So that's what you have to learn when you consistently go to new ballparks. You've got to learn what it looks like coming off the bat.
Back-to-back well-hit balls to center field, and so Santana with an RBI chance. Sox leading on a Melky Cabrera home run. How long does it take a player? I mean, you got 3 or 4 game series. You got to get used to it pretty quick.
Yeah, you do. But this was, this is a 2-game series and a day after night game in a ballpark that the young guys have never seen before. It usually doesn't take you all that long. In fact, if you've never seen a ballpark, it really helps to get there a little early and have people hit you fly balls from, preferably from home plate. A lot of time with the batting cage here, you get your fly balls off to the side. But you'd like to get as close to game conditions as you can.
Close pitch, 2-1 to Santana. Tough to find anybody that's 30 or over in this lineup, by the way. Very young lineup for the Brewers. Two and two.
Well, the Brewers are ecstatic with a lot of young players that are just on the cusp of the major leagues and a couple of the young players that are already here. We talked a lot about Arcia. They're very talented shortstop. He's got a chance to have as good a hands as just about anybody in the game.
Three and two on Santana. High fastball strikes him out, so Holland pitches over a couple of doubles, and the Brewers can't score. 1-0 Sox. Days away. Join us Monday, April 3rd as the Sox take on the Tigers at 3:10 p.m. All fans in attendance get a 2017 magnetic schedule. Great seats still available. Get yours today at whitesox.com. At last check, the forecast looked pretty decent for opening day. Have you checked today? Do you feel pain in your knee?
I check on a 15-minute basis.
You do?
Yes.
Isn't that a little compulsive?
Yes. They say high of 53 approximately. Overcast with plenty of runs later in the game.
Is that right? Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting forecast. The old sports weather forecast. It's a half swing foul from Frazier, who's still trying to get into the groove of it after that oblique injury at the beginning of spring training. Only 41 at bats this spring, and we'll see how he comes out of the chute. The one thing we do know is he will normally be talking to catchers like he was to Pena there.
Well, the good part about it is he did get hurt early enough in the spring where he had some time to let it all come together, and he was feeling pretty good physically. He'd like to get his stroke a little more consistent, but in the games that we've done, because we backloaded the schedule, more games toward the second half, he's starting to look like he feels more comfortable, and when that happens, the ball will jump off his bat and go out of the park.
Strike three from Nelson. First punch out for the Alabama alum, Jimmy Nelson.
Very good sink on this. You see where Pena wants it? This ball just dives under the bat of Todd Frazier for the first out.
So one down for Danny Hayes, who made some folks pay attention to him this spring training. AAA last year for his first time. He played 55 games with the AAA Knights, hit 10 home runs, and this spring we saw a couple of homers from him.
I thought Danny Hayes, all things considered, had a great spring.
To left field and Broad, and there's out number 2. Why do you say that?
Well, he came into a situation where he didn't know if there was going to be a spot, or if he had a great spring, could he force his way there? And he went out and did just about everything that was asked of him. Swing the bat from the left side, you hit in the 340s most of the spring, and hit the ball out of the ballpark. He's doing whatever he can to try to control the situation of which a player doesn't have any control of, and that is, will or won't you make the opening day roster? And because they haven't come out with all of the players that have made it yet, we'll see how it plays out.
And you and I were talking about it before the game. There are still 37 players in the clubhouse here in Milwaukee.
And that's something that they did. Bring them up, give them a taste of a couple of ball games, give them a chance to get in late, and then you cut down to 25, and that will be made obviously after the game.
Arcia at shortstop, very fluid for out number 3, and Nelson goes 1-2-3 through the Sox in the second. 1-0 the lead after 1.5. Myers. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How you guys doing?
Good, good. You ready to do it for real?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Ready to get out of here and start it off.
What's your takeaway from spring training being back with the Sox?
I feel good, man. You know, a lot of young faces here in the club, and you know, it's refreshing to come back and you know, meet my old friends and work with new ones too.
Gio, you get a chance both in sidelines during the game and maybe inter-squad games. You get a chance to catch some young pitchers with very good arms. How was it this spring with some of the fireballers the Sox have assembled?
It was really good. You know, we got some arms here. You know, in this organization. You know, after a couple of trades, man, we got some players back. And to be honest with you, it was a pleasure to catch these guys, man.
So I have a question for you about the seeds that are flying. Melky's in left, so who's doing that?
I don't know, man. Crazy weather out here in Milwaukee, man. Raining seas and everything, man.
What do you do when you're learning how to when you're learning a new pitcher? You get a guy that you've never caught before. How do you go about that?
Usually, you know, right away you got to go with his best pitch. You know, what is his best pitch? What's his bread and butter? What's gonna get him out of trouble? So after you identify that, you go break it down. You know, in the thank you. You break it down in secondary pitches and go from there.
Gio, getting an opportunity to catch some good young pitchers, guys with a whole lot of talent. When you go out there to talk with a pitcher, if you've noticed something, let's say you notice a guy can't get the ball down, you'll go out there. What do you tell a pitcher during the course of a game?
A lot of times I don't want to tell them, you know, any mechanical stuff, or you know, even if I see something, I don't want to dome him out with you know, some mechanical stuff. Usually, you know, I try to relax the guy. I try them to you know, slow down a little bit the game. Sometimes it can get quick on them. So you know, my job is to relax them and you know, to keep them focused and really get them through.
How do you go about that?
Well, I mean, I just tell them to calm down. You know, take a few deep breaths. Sometimes I'll randomly talk to them, you know, make them a joke or something. You know, try to disconnect that, you know, that pressure. Try to disconnect them from the field, and then all of a sudden, hey, you need a ground ball, double play right here. So he forgets about that walk or that random hit he gave up, and you know, try to put it together.
Derek Holland's on the mound right now. Have you gotten a chance to catch him a little bit this spring?
Yes, I have. Yes.
What do you think of his stuff?
It's pretty good. You know, he's learned to command his secondary pitches a lot better. His fastball command is pretty good. But what I've seen is his secondary pitches are, you know, working a little bit better for him this year.
How important is it, Gio, for Derek or any left-hander to be able to get inside on right-hand hitters?
Oh, it's very important. I mean, that's one of those, you know, that's one of those things that it's almost a must. You know, a lot of lefties have good changeups, you know, good curveballs. So, you know, you kind of want to open up the outer half with a righty on. Left on left, everybody knows it's really tough. But on righty, if you can dot that heater in, it's a plus.
What's your relationship like with Omar Narvaez?
Oh, it's a great relationship. You know, right when I got here, you know, this kid wanted to learn. He wanted to, you know, impress, and you know, he's a very impressive young man. He can catch, he can throw, he can do a whole lot of stuff, and you know, watching him work and his work ethic and wanting to learn, it was really refreshing.
Who, if you had to pick one guy, I'm going to make you pick one guy. Who's your favorite guy to catch right now on the Sox staff?
Right now, I gotta be Chilsey. You know, I've had him quite a bit. You know, during the course of spring training, and you know, he's a high energy guy. You know, he's always wanting to get better, but he's really intense, and I love that when my pitchers are really intense like that.
Giovanni Soto, thank you for taking the time. Get your raincoat on just in case of a possible squall of seeds coming through, all right?
Yes, sir, will do.
Thanks, Gio.
Thanks.
Right.
Good to talk to you.
Thank you. No problem.
Giovanni Soto, Sox catcher. Boy, it really, I mean, with the roof here and everything, it still comes down in buckets.
On the occasional interview, yes.
Yeah, it was nice to have that disembodied arm come in with the water too for him.
However, the biggest break he caught was that Melky is in left field.
Usually Melky is coming out of left field in one way or the other. So here is Pena, the catcher for the Brewers, very likely the starting catcher for Milwaukee this year after the Jonathan Lucroy trade last year. Avi and right. As you said, there's not a lot of room over there.
No, you run out of room pretty quickly. And situation on the trade, there was actually a better deal on the table for the Brewers with the Cleveland Indians. But Jonathan Lucroy had a limited no trade clause, and one of the teams that he had the ability to call off was a trade to Cleveland. So even though it was a better deal for Milwaukee, they traded him to Texas. Made a good deal, not quite as good.
4 strikeouts for Derek Holland so far. He's through 2 in his final tune-up this year. April 8th at 1:10 p.m. First 15,000 fans get a White Sox winter hat presented by Coca-Cola. To purchase tickets, visit whitesox.com. You can start a collection, right? I mean, we had the ones from last year. This is a different winter hat.
Yeah, this has
season.
A little plaid on it.
Next year, they will have the winter hat with both plaid and your picture on it, on the ear flap.
Well, I like that.
You do?
That's a good thought.
Have Stoney on your ear flap. Here's Omar. Interesting hearing what Gio had to say about Omar Narvaez and how much he wanted to learn when Soto arrived here. Into right field, and Santana for out number 1.
That's one of the big advantages of having veterans coming back to a position that a lot of young people are currently using, and that's the way with Narvaez, who's going to be the #1 guy, but can learn a whole lot of lessons from Giovanni Soto, who's been around a long time. So one of the things that made Giovanni attractive, he'd been here before, everybody liked him, though he could occasionally hit the ball out of the ballpark, but one of the things that was talked about was his ability to communicate with young catchers. And if you can do that and have some skills at all left, you probably will find a job around the major leagues.
Do not confuse him with the Sox pitcher by the same name but different spelling on the first name. The left-handed pitcher, Giovanni Soto, Giovanni. Giovanni.
Yes, one is currently here and the other is not. That's a different way to figure out who's who.
That is how you can differentiate today. Yep. Yep. Ball and a strike on Yolmer Sanchez. 18 out of 56 so far this spring. Little flashes of power as well. 3 home runs. There's Todd Steverson, the Sox hitting coach, who has to be happy with some of the flourishes of power the Sox have shown this spring at certain spots. By the way, if you didn't catch that when Soto used the nickname. When he's talking about the favorite pitcher he has to catch right now, he said Shieldsy, that being James Shields. There's a little conversation going on between the two catchers.
Well, the one thing that veteran catchers especially enjoy is a pitcher who can get all of their pitches over the plate. And Shields can do that.
By the way, the Sox must only have the bus for a couple of hours today. That's the first 2-ball count for any Sox hitter so far.
I would think the game plan would be to go up there and see something in the zone, hit it. It's getaway day.
Get away from spring training, get away from Milwaukee. Not that there's anything to get away from in this lovely city.
No, very nice city.
They have cheese curds all over the ballpark, I'm told. That was one of the pregame announcements, just in case you wanted a taste of Wisconsin.
And a number of things stuffed into tubes.
Excuse me?
That you'll find here.
More on that after this. Pena runs out of room. Will you elaborate, please?
Well, by tubes, I mean casings. Like you'll find, as we have strolling up and down the boulevard, that you can find kielbasa, you can find Italian sausage, you can find bratwurst, you can find regular hot dogs of all different shapes and sizes. Yeah, they like to stuff casings with all kinds of different things.
Yeah, when you said tubes, I thought you meant like poster board and things of that nature. It didn't sound appetizing.
No.
Sanchez in the air left side. Braun camps for out number 2.
You would think that the game plan for Milwaukee well, maybe they're a couple of years into a rebuilding also. One of the guys they would look to move would be Ryan Braun.
They almost did last year.
They came very close to it, but at the end he is still here with the Brewers. He still can swing the bat. And talking with a few of these folks, there hasn't been a whole lot of fall off offensively for Braun. And also they like the fact that he plays a better than adequate left field.
Two down for Jacob May, who bounced out to second his first time. Getting a taste of playing in a major league park before the Sox head home to take on the Tigers. 3:10 on Monday, then the off day Tuesday, and 2 more with Detroit. Only run on a Melky Cabrera homer so far as Nelson wraps that one around the outside corner. 2 strikes.
I think that last call was an example that boys best be swinging today, because that ball was a touch off the outside corner. John Tumpane thought certainly it was good enough. There will be a wider plate today than normal.
There's strike 3. Nelson is fan 2. Sox still lead after 2.5 on the Melky long ball.
to try and score the last spot in the playoffs. Coverage begins at 4:30 with Bulls pregame live, presented by Coors Light. Also streams on the NBC Sports app.
While they're at it, they might as well try for that 7th spot as well. They're only a half game back of the Heat and the Pacers both.
Nothing a few wins wouldn't cure. As we got a new pitcher in the ball game, and Miguel Gonzalez takes over after a couple of pretty good innings. 2 doubles in the first inning. Eric Holland wended his way around those and turns it over to Gonzalez on for the 3rd time.
But Steve, isn't he in the starting rotation?
Yes, he is, mon frere.
But Steve, can't you explain why he's not starting then and why he's pitching in relief today? Danny Hayes has out number 1.
But I'll wait for that very nice defensive effort to tell you that, because this is a throwing day normally of Miguel, he's going to pick up a couple innings. He's scheduled to throw the 3rd of the regular season game, so his spot's not going to roll around until Thursday, giving him ample time to rest. So they want to make sure that he's sharp. Probably ask him preference. They say, you know, would you like to throw on the sidelines? Would you like to spend an inning or 2 on the mound? He chose on the mound.
What would you have picked and why?
I would have probably done exactly what they're going to do with him if I was going to go on Thursday, and this being a Saturday where you have all kinds of time. You always want to face some major league hitters. So although it still is treated almost like a sideline, there's a little more adrenaline flowing, and it enables you to sharpen up some of the breaking pitches. Plus, just coming out of Arizona where the breaking ball doesn't break well, you want to see what it does up here, and then he can make an adjustment. He's got a really good straight change that he works well. He also has come up with a cutter that's helped him. He wants to see how that breaking ball is going to break here as opposed to Arizona.
2-1 on Kirk Neuenhuis, former New York Met. Sitting 9th today for the Brewers, who have gone back to that MB logo, the baseball mitt. Center field, May. 2 down. Sox fans celebrate a special birthday or anniversary, or even host a business function in a Diamond Suite at a White Sox game. Diamond Suites can accommodate groups from 10 to 100 guests. Single game packages include a great food menu as well as beverages and parking passes. To purchase, visit whitesox.com/group.
Earlier in spring training, when we read that promo, you asked me if I had one of those boxes to watch a game.
You had your own Diamond Suite.
Yes,
yeah.
who would be the 9 people that I would have in there besides me? I will turn around the question and say, who are the 99 other people you would have if you knew 100 people to bring into one of those skyboxes and have a wonderful time during the course of the game?
You know what? I don't normally like to be exclusionary, right? I don't. However, I think it would be quite funny if you took 99 of the Dalmatians and left 2.
Well, they would be very, very tough on the other 2.
It would.
Yeah.
It's character building. Thank goodness this is out number 3. I don't know where that was headed. 7 in a row retired by Sox pitching. It's 1-0 after 3 from Milwaukee. by Canals Auto Park. Spring training baseball on CSN Chicago is presented by Canals Auto Park. Anderson, Cabrera, and Abreu coming up for the Sox here in the fourth, and a 1-0 lead thanks to Melky and that one hit, which was a home run that he pulverized deep to right field. Anderson against Jimmy Nelson, who is likely to be in the Brewers rotation as Tim grounds to his counterpart, Arcia, for out number one as we give you the Sox Math question for today. Hashtag Sox Math. First correct answer wins our undying affection. No prize shelf in spring training. Number of seasons today's opponent played in Seattle as a team that's in Seattle. Multiply the number of seasons they spent in the American League. Add the number of other teams Cody Ashe has played for in the majors, and subtract the other MLB teams Derek Holland has played for. Hashtag Sox Math in our final exhibition. This is your last tune-up of spring training. You never played against the Seattle Pilots.
I did not.
That was before your time.
I played against the Mariners in the Kingdome.
Ooh.
Yes.
Before they imploded it live on television.
I love to pitch there.
Ball and a strike. Here's Melky's first at bat.
This one a no-doubter. Into the bullpen, and the only scoring of the afternoon.
You love to pitch in the Kingdome.
I did. I like to pitch there. I like to pitch in the Astrodome because being a breaking ball pitcher, I didn't think the lighting was near as good as it was outside. Although it's obviously major league quality lighting, I thought that hitters had a hard time, especially early in the game, picking up the spin of the ball. So it was the advantage of the breaking ball pitchers.
It's a hard shot to shortstop, and Arcia for out number two. Now, it's a little different in here, right? Because you have the panels to allow the natural light in.
Yeah, I think that the lighting here is pretty good, but the two aforementioned domes didn't have particularly good lighting because there was no glass panels like they have in here. This is a pretty bright dome as far as the retractable domes go.
The new ones generally are.
Yeah.
Right? Marlins Park is. The park in Houston has the same sort of feel.
Seattle has that same thing. Even when they close theirs, you can still see pretty well.
So you're saying the Kingdome was like playing in someone's basement?
Kingdome was playing. It was very similar lighting-wise to the Trop in Tampa Bay, where I think that's the same kind of an old dome situation. There's no retractability at all, and there's not a whole lot of light.
Abreu bounced out his first time to third base. He's not going to bounce out this time. That ball is hammered to right for a 2-out single.
Chris Kampka said, I had the identical earned run average at the Kingdome and the Astrodome, which is somewhat amazing at 355. 38 innings in both places as you take a look at an inside-out swing, and good way to keep the inning alive.
So you pitched the same amount of innings and had the same ERA
in both places.
In both places, the Kingdome and the Astrodome.
How about that?
Did you ever bowl in the Astrodome bowling alley?
No.
They had a bowling alley inside the Astrodome.
And I couldn't hit 355 there.
Be tough. You'd need a couple extra frames.
No, I did not participate in that.
Did you ever see it?
No.
Did you get to walk through? It's a missed opportunity.
It is.
I know you like parlor games. Ping pong, darts.
That's fine.
Parcheesi.
Yeah. I didn't. Bowling is fun.
Yeah. With bumpers or not?
No.
Okay.
Are you kidding?
There's strike 2 to Frazier, who struck out on 4 pitches in the second inning.
Nelson so far has started out with very good stuff. This is any indication to what he's going to bring forward into the season. He's going to make some big improvements over last year where control was an issue.
Check swing, he didn't go, so 1-2 on Frazier. The Brewers don't get the strikeout here.
Cuts a slider away, able to check his swing. Nelson, a big man at 6'6", 250 pounds. 8-16 last year, so he really struggled.
Took up Pilates in the offseason, we're told.
It'll give him a certain amount of flexibility. Tried to throw a high fastball by him, and Todd was able to foul it off. Career at Miller Park, pretty decent numbers. He got 22 driven in 31 games. Of course, they played in the same division as those Cincinnati Reds, below those many years.
One and two from Nelson. Broxton in center for out number 3. Abreu stranded. Sox still lead after 3.5 in Milwaukee, 1-0. Sox Pride Club for exclusive ticket offers, membership gifts, game day opportunities, ballpark tours, MLB.com, game day audio for your computer, and more. Visit SoxPrideClub.com to join today. We are just about 5.5 innings away from the regular season starting. We should have a clock in the corner. Countdown to the regular season. What do you think?
Well, we need a large clock because it's 2 days yet for us. However, there's games tomorrow.
Indeed. Who you got in the World Series? It's not too early.
It is.
It is.
I'm going to see how things shake out in the trade department.
We'll check back in August, or what do you think?
No, I will have a pretty clear idea probably at the end of May.
Oh, really?
Yep.
But you won't do it now.
Nah.
You reject the premise
Yeah.
of the question.
Well, I'd like to pick some surprise teams, but that'd be a surprise.
Danny Hayes at first for out number 1. Well, the easy surprise teams to pick would be the Royals and Rangers because that's where they train.
in Surprise.
Surprise.
Fortunately, we don't have to drive there after the game.
Be a long trip. One down for Ryan Braun.
It's kind of interesting because reading articles around baseball and they're trying to pick the surprise teams, and this seems to be a difficult year to pick a team that nobody thinks is going to make the playoffs and say that that team has a decent chance. So, I mean, I don't think it'll be the Brewers.
Why not? A lot of young talent here.
They do, but I think they're too young.
Too young?
I think they've got to solidify that starting rotation. I think they'll score some runs. Limiting the opposition to scoring runs could be difficult.
Tell you what, Miguel Gonzalez last year went from Orioles cast-off to very able starting pitcher for the White Sox. He was extremely important, especially to the bullpen.
I think there were a lot of people very surprised that the Orioles just cut him loose, but what happened was he lost some velocity as he was trying to make the ball club in spring training, even though he'd been a mainstay.
Upstairs with a fastball to strike out Braun, and Gonzalez has retired 0-5.
That higher than high fastball that most guys are using these days is so tantalizing for the hitter. It's tough, even at 92, 93 miles an hour. It's really tough to get up and get on top of it, and Braun couldn't do it there.
In an era, though, when the league leader struck out in the National League 206 times, Chris Carter, and in the American League, Chris Davis, 219 times. Strike out, go back to the dugout, and see you later. We'll do it again.
Well, there are a lot of people that spend copious amounts of time on the computer will tell you that strikeout is not that damaging.
Ground ball to third, and Frazier takes care of it. Miguel Gonzalez, 6 up, 6 down in his 2 innings.
Championship preview. It's Hawks and Ducks. Coverage begins at 8:30 on CSN Plus with the Chevy Blackhawks pregame live or stream live on the NBC Sports app. Go Hawks.
2 of the top 3 teams in the West going at it. Hawks and Ducks. He's a Hawks fan stopping by here in Milwaukee.
And one of the first big breaks happened already with Detroit facing Miami.
Uh-oh.
Well, Detroit lost 3-2, which stops them from gaining great momentum heading into opening day on Monday. They'll
It's
come
huge.
in on the heels of a loss.
They will be questioning themselves,
Very insecure,
defeatist even.
hopefully.
You're rooting for the defeatist attitude of others.
It's just the opposition.
very Schadenfreude, SW.
And the first one is the Detroits.
Two and 0 on Danny Hayes. He hits this well, right center field, but Broxton's there for out number 1.
That ball went a long way, and Broxton able to stay with it and make the catch. This is supposed to be low and away. It wasn't. It was low and in. That allowed Danny to get a good piece of it, but not quite enough.
So 1 down for Avi Garcia. Very proud of you, by the way. You've made it through 4 innings plus now on April Fool's Day and not pulled any pranks. I don't like how you're looking down.
Have you looked in your backpack?
Excuse me, sir. You may not pass through security. You know, April 1st is quite the anniversary for the Sox in history. It's the day that they signed Dave DeBusschere to pitch prior to his time in the NBA.
Worked out pretty well for Dave. He was an exceptional basketball player and joined a select few that were able to play a couple of different sports professionally.
16 points a game for his NBA career.
And a pretty good defender to go with it.
Chris Kampka says, I didn't know this. He was the ABA commissioner for a time.
Oh, Chris, any more commissioners that we don't know about in very obscure leagues?
Commissioner Gordon.
Remember him?
Yeah. He was commissioner of baseball. The intentional walk would be replaced by a bat signal from the dugout. Still no official word on what the signal needs to be for intentional walk this coming season. Do you have any suggestions? Just a dismissive right hand.
A dismissive little flip. A little backhand flip dismissively sending him to first base.
Shoe fly.
Yes.
Right?
Go.
Yeah.
Or someone can yell at him, you know that bat? You're not going to need it. That could be another way to tell him to trot to first base.
It's a little elaborate.
True.
You didn't say it right. You forgot the you know.
And there is Craig Counsell. Attended Notre Dame. He had the most unusual batting style during the course of his playing days.
Wide open.
With hands straight up. Very unusual stance.
One and two on Garcia. And Avi lays off 2-2.
Nelson was spending a great deal of time with nobody on base, trying to figure out what to throw.
Made the right choice. Went downstairs with a breaking ball and the third strikeout for Nelson.
Well, at first he shook off the slider only to go back to the slider, and that's how it ended, with that slider.
Two down for Omar Narvaez. Sox leading by a run thanks to a Melky Cabrera homer after the Brewers were winners here last night by 3 runs. And that will do it here in the 5th. Bottom 5, 1-0 Sox. His opponent played in Seattle as the Pilots for 1 year. 28 seasons in the American League for the Brewers, 1 as well for the Pilots. Cody Ashe played for only the Phillies, Derek Holland only the Rangers. Real Kyle Burke is the winner as opposed to faux Kyle Burke. Ursat's Kyle Burke.
And this was really good practice because although you get absolutely nothing and you'll like it, when things really kick off, you'll have the opportunity to win multitudes of prizes off the shelf. And as Anthony Swarzak comes in after a nice outing by Holland, spectacular outing by Gonzalez, and now Anthony Swarzak trying to hold him right there, nursing a 1-0 lead.
Defensive changes for the Sox. Nicky Delmonico is in to play left. We've seen him on the infield where Everett Cabrera is. He's playing shortstop, and Leury Garcia is into third. Couple of smiles there for the left side of the infield. It's Anthony Swarzak, who in the majors has mostly been a reliever, but has started a little bit against strike number 1.
And he's facing a hitter in Aguilar that his whole philosophy is swing as hard as you can, because if you do hit it, it's going to go a long way. The question is just how much contact will Aguilar make?
None there. 0-2.
7 and 17 on the power numbers for Aguilar, so it was a great spring as he pretty much fought his way onto the ball club.
Came up through the Indians organization and showed that power all the way through the minors, and now a chance to at least make the major league roster here in Milwaukee. But he's not shown you to be a liar with some of those swings he's taken so far.
Nope, they're with bad intentions, as they say. When a guy swings that hard, good slider in the dirt, usually he'll do away with them, and we're going to see one, I believe.
Just missed the corner.
Pretty good 0-2 pitch.
Yeah, Anthony Swarzak, who has played for the Twins, the Indians, the Yankees. There he buries one, 2-2. He's a possibility as a kind of swing man. Maybe eat up one of those spot starts for the Sox at some point, with Carlos Rodon opening the season on the disabled list.
That would be a big factor, and that is multiple innings. Anthony can do that, so he's certainly a consideration.
2-2. Staying away from Aguilar. Plays off now 3-2. The first baseman today for the Brewers. Swarzak back in 2013, as you see Hernan Perez on deck. Led all major league relievers with 96 innings out of the Twins bullpen. Hot shot foul down the third base line.
Yeah, that one didn't miss by much, but fortunately, the left side of the bag. This looked to be a cutter that stayed right in the middle of the plate, and to a very powerful home run hitter, he was fortunate to get away with that.
Three-two. Again fouled away. That last foul ball, not this one, but the one prior to it, was really the only pitch that even came close to being called inside in the entire sequence.
Well, for the most part, he stayed away, and it's not a bad idea to try to do it again. It's going to be an outside fastball after shaking an inside fastball and a straight change.
Climbed the ladder, fouled away. Talked about the Brewers logo. They're back to that glove logo with the ball in the middle, and if you look very closely, you can see an M and a B combining to make the mitt. Three-two. Another foul ball.
Becoming a lengthy at bat. Good battle between Aguilar and Swarzak. The 11th pitch forthcoming.
You can get lost in that logo, by the way, that MB logo, if you really start looking for it. See the lowercase m at the top, the knuckles, and the B comes down on the left. We need a telestrator so you can draw that.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Can we get that delivered?
Absolutely.
In game. That's in the dirt. Ball four. Aguilar with a leadoff walk.
That was a good at bat as he refused to give way, and Swarzak finally threw the fourth out of the zone.
Hernan Perez, who grounded out to short in the second inning, to the plate. Derek Holland 33 pitches, 20 strikes. Miguel Gonzalez 16 pitches, 13 strikes. Gonzalez threw 16 pitches to 6 batters. Aguilar ends up walking on about a dozen already here in the 5th.
I think both Holland and Gonzalez have to be very happy with this outing, just to tune up to get ready for the season.
Would you call this Sox starters opus of spring training? Is it good enough to qualify as an opus?
No. Technically, for an opus, you have to have at least 3 innings of work.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
And then the magnum opus is 5
Right.
plus. Perez, a bloop into right center and down. Brewers have 2 on here in the 5th.
Some pretty good hitting as he reaches down to keep the at bat alive and just dumps it into center field. So Aguilar, who doesn't have much speed, could not go, and now they're talking about what to do in the case of a bunt. And Sanchez wants to know what set of signs they're going to use. Now Leury Garcia comes up after giving signs to the infield on just exactly how the wheel play is going to work, how they're going to defend a possible bunt. He'll get the signs, he'll give the infield the signs, but he'll verbally tell the pitcher if he wants him to charge to the line because he's going to hang back, or charge straight ahead because Leury is going to be charging.
It's a catcher, Manny Pena, who swings away. You've got the first 2 guys on in an inning. And you've seen a lot of pitches. Why not let him swing away, right?
Spring training, you probably will get more times when you'd let him swing away than you would during the season, where you're sitting in the middle of the game and wanting to push up 2 men into scoring position.
That's a strike. Nicely placed on the outside third. 0-2.
Now, if you're Swarzak on the mound, what you're thinking about is not necessarily the strikeout, because he's not a strikeout pitcher. Not that he can't, it's just that the thought process is you got a slow running catcher up. He's down 0-2. Make a pitcher's pitch. Hopefully he'll make some contact and turn it into a double play.
Or a strikeout. 1 down.
Perfect location. He kept it away. It was an emergency hack by Pena, but he, for the most part, swung when that ball was in Omar's glove.
We told you, by the way, our Sox math answer already in this half inning. If you'd like to donate to the prize shelf, if you have a Sox-related item or something that you think belongs on the prize shelf, send your items to Guaranteed Rate Field, attention, prize shelf, 333 West 35th Street, Chicago 60616. That's another way to play Sox math. If you have something that you're okay with parting with that you want to see featured on the prize shelf, we will say your name along with the item, and if it gets taken, it gets taken. And maybe you can share your Sox fandom with another Sox fan. How about that?
Well, I've got a pretty decent idea, but it would take some ingenuity and a certain amount of craft and guile would be to duplicate the key you have to whatever you call that thing you drive and take it to the park. We can put that on the prize shelf and
my
give
car?
that away. Yeah.
You're going to give my car away? Nobody take it.
Well, we'll see how long, could be sitting there with Gene Honda's signed baseball for most of the season.
That's what I refer to my car as, by the way, Gene Honda. It's a ball and a strike on Arcia.
Yeah, I mean, that's not necessarily a bad idea. Granted, you wouldn't have quite as much mobility as you have now, but we could cure that.
My level of mobility is usually fairly low. Ball and a strike on Arcia from Swarzak. And 1-2. By the way, just one last qualification about the prize shelf. If you do send it, don't expect to get the item back. That's the idea behind the prize shelf. If you send an item, we're going to put it on the prize shelf. Someone else may win it. So if it's like your wedding ring or something, don't send it. Your wife or husband will find out.
Well, that's an interesting way of letting her or him know
it's over, honey.
that things are they're not like paradise any longer.
If you would like to end it, you can go ahead and send your wedding ring to the prize shelf. We'll put it on there and we'll give the message.
Okay.
We tell you about the Sox video board. You can put your own personalized message up there. That's the one type of message I don't think that goes terribly well. How'd he break it off? Wow, we were at a Sox game, and it came on the video board. "22 pitches so far for Anthony Swarzak. High school draftee by the Twins back in 2004. On the ground, up the middle. Cabrera by his lonesome for the double play. Nicely done by Swarzak to pitch over the jam, and it's still 1-0 Sox after 5. Biggs Mansion on April 13th. Special guests include Harold Baines, Ozzie Guillen, Bobby Hull, Ron Kittle, and Jim Thome. What a group. All proceeds benefit Ron Kittle Charities. Visit ronkittlecharities.org to purchase tickets.
And we got a new pitcher coming in the ball game, and it is former Texas Ranger closer Neftali Feliz. On for the 10th time. He's been a busy man. 9 innings of work, 7 strikeouts, and left-handers not doing anything with him.
72 saves between 2010 and 2011. An all-star season back in 2010. His official rookie season. He was the best rookie of that year.
Takes over from Jimmy Nelson, who threw it very well in his 5 innings. Gave up the home run in the first inning, 1 other hit, so 1 run, 2 hits, didn't walk anybody, Fanning 3. And Nelson appears ready to go for the season, even though he's slated toward the bottom of their rotation. He is going to be a starting pitcher.
Yolmer Sanchez, who flied out to left field in the 3rd, and he takes strike 1. Only run on the board thanks to Melky Cabrera, 3rd batter of the game, a solo homer to right. 0-2 on Sanchez.
One of the adjustments here is that they've cut a hole in the batter's eye straight away center field, and that's where they have the center field camera, the one you're looking at right now, so you can see in behind the pitcher at the hitter and the catcher. It used to be off center. It's not any longer, and it give you a great shot of that strikeout.
Better view at home for you, the fan.
There you see, it's right in the middle, so now when you're looking, it's not an off center shot. You get much more of an idea if it really is on or off the corner.
There's Jesse in center field. Hi, Jesse. You doing okay? That's good. We won't send the authorities. His favorite number is 3, I think he's trying to sign to us.
There will be.
One down for Jacob May. Now 2 down with that fly ball. Eric Thames at left for Ryan Braun, who is done after a couple of innings today.
Thames spent the last few years in Korea. They signed him to a multi-year deal, brought him back, and he's going to be one of the starters on this team. He can also hit him a long way.
Good tweet came in from Tim Mullen about our asking you to send things in from the prize shelf if you care to. He says, do a soupy sales and ask the kids to send the green stuff in Daddy's wallet to the prize shelf. Consult Stoney for reference.
That worked.
I know who Soupy Sales is.
You do?
Yeah, I watched a lot of Match Game as a kid.
With Gene Rayburn?
Yeah, I know that era.
It's true. Yeah, I'm not thinking that's the greatest plan.
You don't think so?
Didn't work that great for Soupy. So to reprise it, lo these many years later, probably would not work as well either.
Well, you never know. Things change. Somebody else, Phil tweets in, do you guys realize how much junk you're going to get? How dare you call people's stuff junk?
People's very valuable things
Yes.
that at one point they really liked and now they just don't.
And now are willing to put in an envelope and get rid of. Doesn't sound like junk at all.
No.
2-2 on Everth Cabrera. From Neftali Phillies. On the ground and foul. If you have any junk that you would like to send to us, there you can do it. Sock stuff, you know, stuff you want to have end up on the prize shelf, whether for good or for pun or for evil. But if you have, honestly, if you have something you'd like to share with us, you'd like another Sox fan, a diehard Sox fan to have, send it to us. Care of Guaranteed Rate Field, attention, prize shelf. The shelf is actually an animate object. It will answer its own mail.
Going to be an interesting year on the prize shelf.
You're forecasting that?
I am.
The Pacoda predictions have it?
I'm telling you that it's going to be a fine year.
Three and two for Everth Cabrera. On the ground, up the middle, flat bounce, and VR has no chance. If that took a better hop for him, he might have been able to make a play. It flattened out, and Cabrera has a 2-out single.
Take another look. It's a fine play by a man who was a lifetime shortstop. He thought about the idea of flipping it to Arcia and maybe let him get the job done at first base, but either way, Cabrera has himself an infield hit.
That leaves it for Nicky Delmonico, who's had a very nice spring for the Sox. Former Milwaukee Brewer himself, Delmonico, came up initially in part through the Brewers system. Originally an Orioles draft pick, then spent 2013 and 14 in the Brewers system. And now with the Sox dating back to 2015, first year in AAA, last season with the Sox.
There was a time when Neftali Feliz could throw it up there in the neighborhood of 100 miles an hour. That's how good his arm was. He's had a few problems since then. He's always been a short armer, making him very deceptive.
Short armor, what do you mean?
Well, in other words, there's no arm extension, so it looks, for all practical purposes, like the arm is coming out of the uniform as it comes to the hitter. And unless you're very much used to it, it does add another level of deception.
Good hitters count for Nicky Delmonico. Cabrera at first. There goes Cabrera. And this should do it. VR throws out Delmonico, who's running hard down the line. Sox get a runner on, can't score. 1-0 after 5.5. Purchasing a prorated full or split season ticket package. To purchase a season ticket package, visit whitesox.com or call 312-674-1000 today. From lovely Milwaukee, just north of Chicagoland, we enjoy the sights of Wisconsin as the sausage race is happening indoors here in Milwaukee.
And
Randall Simon is nowhere to be found.
But I truly believe it was in honor of you today.
The sausage race?
Yes, the winner. The Italian sausage won today.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes. It's rigged, I tell you. Kirk Neuenhuis to bat against Anthony Swarzak. And 0-1. The Azusa Pacific alum, Kirk Neuenhuis. It's a lovely place to go to college out there in California. Similar beaches to Kent State.
Well, it's not quite that lovely. Kent is on the shores of nothing, actually.
I'm sure there were wonderful reasons to go there instead of, say, California.
They accepted me, for one thing.
There's strike three. Neuenhuis goes down quickly, and that brings us to today's edition of Sticks and Stone. How'd you do against Robin Yount, Brewers Hall of Famer?
Well, they were pretty tough. I mean, he was just a good hitter. So I'm going to say that he did pretty well against me. And now they're going to take a look at Anthony Swarzak. As everybody trots to the middle of the mound. Nope. They're saying, okay, you did a good job. So we're going to escort you from the game.
Steve will tell you more about Harvey's Wallbangers when we come back.
Yeah, I will. Bye.
See ya.
That's what he did last year in 15 games. So he'll have an opportunity to try to open a few eyes in this final spring training game. And he's going to move to the top of the batting order.
Had some arm trouble back in 2015, lost the entire season, and opened the year on the disabled list last year. So he's coming back from surgery in the 2015 season, and he'll face VR first with 1 out in the 6th. Sox still pitching a shutout, 1-0 on a Melky Cabrera home run that came 3 batters in today. Final game this year between the Sox and Brewers. After an exhibition yesterday, Sox will play the National League West this season.
Luis Garcia in close and on the line at third. So with the speed of VR, they just as soon want to take the bunt away, and now Hayes moving back at first base.
Hard hit, but foul on the ground, 2-1. Seen a lot more of that flap on helmets for batters.
Can't blame hitters. Might as well get all the protection you can. A lot of guys don't particularly like it. They think it might obscure their vision, but anybody who's been hit in that area doesn't mind having a little extra protection.
Did you see Matt Shoemaker of the Angels? He's going to wear a protective cap on the mound.
Well, like Brandon McCarthy did that.
That's through Villard with his great speed on with a 1-out single.
Well, no time like the present to use the final cliche of the day. And this one been used more than a few times.
Is this the last cliche of the day of spring training
of spring
or of the
training.
year?
Oh no, not of the year.
I was concerned.
No, usually. And now Orf has come on in to pinch run. That is not the cliche of the day.
That's the airport code for Norfolk, by the way. So the Norfolk airport
is running at first.
Is on at first. That is Nate Orf for Milwaukee. Over from Tidewater.
And our cliche of the day is we're lulling them into a false sense of security. So just when you think that things are bad, always use we're lulling them into a false sense of security.
Should we tell them that we're doing it, though?
Well, it is a tip off to your plan, your master plan.
Yeah.
But
I think that's a good one. That's a good final cliche of the day.
And we'll work on tightening these things up, making them more applicable to what's going on during the course of the season.
Oh, that's very applicable.
Yeah, I would think so.
You're lulling the viewers into a false sense of security.
Or no security whatsoever, yes.
1-2 on Broxton, and here he takes a walk around home plate. You and I have talked about this extensively, and I know it's a foul ball, so you're given the chance to do it. Talk about shaving off game times. That could go real fast and nobody would care other than the odd hitter.
Right. Both the pitcher and the hitter, both, if you stop them from taking strolls in between pitches, you're going to speed things up.
Close pitch, didn't get it. There was a story on SB Nation online last week that it actually involved an old broadcast of yours. They took a 1980s broadcast of a major league game and a 2010s broadcast of a major league game, and they compared the difference. And one of the major differences was the time between pitches, the inaction pitches, as they'll call them, and it comes from batters taking walks and pitchers taking walks. And you total them all up, and it's not going to be every minute that costs the game time, but there's a lot of that going on, and it didn't used to happen.
You can shave anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes of just about each and every game if you make sure that the two guys who are involved in the plays are there to make the plays.
Garcia, high throw and safe at first. Broxton under the wire, Orf to second.
Well, Leury doesn't know how fast Broxton runs. If he did, he wouldn't have taken near as much time, because by the time he got it over there and realized that Broxton can get down the line, he had to hurry it up. In hurrying, the throw is not on the money, the tag does not work, and so runners at first and second, 1 out.
Brewers have threatened now in each of the last 2 innings. Sox got a double play in the 5th to end the rally. That will go as a hit for Milwaukee and Broxton.
First look at Eric Thames.
He faces Aaron Bummer, who drops in a breaking ball for strike 1. They took a 1984 broadcast of yours, you and Harry, and it was a Brewers game actually from 2014 that they broke down inning by inning. It's an interesting read if you click on it online, and part of the takeaway is that the time between pitches is really where you lose most of your action in Major League Baseball over a 30-year span. That's low, 1-2.
And they've talked about the control of those 2 areas of action or inaction, and the people who have control over it are the umpires. They can speed things up or allow guys to take strolls.
Left field, and Delmonico hunting it down. So 2 down for the Brewers here in the 6th. Santana will bat for a 3rd time, and another component is mid-inning pitching changes, which there weren't as many of a couple decades ago.
True, because more times than not, a lot of teams have gone to a 13-man pitching staff. That means 8 people in your bullpen, giving you 1 less move off the bench, but 1 more move when it comes to mixing and matching, whether it's late or the middle of the ball game. And some managers will use that quite a bit more than others. There were many times the old Baltimore Orioles would actually come north with 9 pitchers. Now, when you say that, it would make any manager fairly nauseous, knowing that he had only 4 relievers to go with his 5 starters.
There might be a union grievance filed. 9 pitchers.
And not going to happen anytime soon again. In fact, it's tough enough when you see a team with 11 pitchers. More times than not, standard is go with 12. If the bullpen isn't quite what it should be, then you add that 13, which gives you less moves off the bench.
3-0 on Santana. Aguilar to follow, and he comes up with the bases loaded. That's a dangerous spot to be in with his power. You swing on 3-0 here?
Couldn't see any reason to.
He didn't either. 3-1.
But Narvaez thought there was a possibility because he called a breaking ball.
Another one. That's strike 2. That breaking ball was too high, so bases loaded for Milwaukee. MLB.TV Premium is back and better than ever. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live on over 400 supported devices. Plus, get a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Bases loaded. Bummer will leave, and the Sox will try and wriggle out of it after this. 1-0.
Monday, it's opening day as Jose Quintana and our Sox host Justin Verlander and the Detroit Tigers. Coverage begins at 2 with White Sox pregame live, presented by the Koalas family of dealerships. Stream the game live on the NBC Sports app or at csnchicago.com. Opening day, music to our ears. And Zach Birdie comes in the ball game with the bases full of Brewers. On for the 13th time. Control has been a bit of a factor, 7 walks in 12 innings, but 17 strikeouts show you that he has overwhelming stuff. But one of the things that Ricky Renteria wants to see is how he responds to pressure. Because when you're inserted in a game with the bases loaded and no place to put them, there is a whole lot of pressure.
That's the situation. Birdie to Aguilar for ball number 1. Zach, who's told us he has an affinity for these escape rooms that are popping up across the country. Very fitting for a relief pitcher in this sort of situation. You go into the room, you have to complete logic puzzles to get out. This is a little bit more brute force than logic, and it's 2-0 on Aguilar.
I like the idea of that. Odds are overwhelming. I'd go in and not be out until the World Series. You said logic problems? I have Zippo.
Orf at third, Wren the pinch runner at second, Santana at first. We'd like to have you back before the World Series. 2-0. On the ground and through. Sanchez was moving toward the bag, and the Brewers have taken the lead.
That was a very strange movement at second base for Sanchez, because Yolmer, he just didn't see where the ball was going, because it wasn't like the runners were going. He's moving toward the bag. And this ball, now watch it. He takes a step to his right and the ball goes to his left, so not picking it up at all off the bat. And it could very well be that there was a white shirt or so in the crowd, but he lost track of it and cost a couple of runs, and the Brewers take the lead.
With 2 out, you wouldn't normally move toward the bag as much as you would with 1 out.
Nope, he just didn't see it.
So here's Perez, and he swings through a slider. Odd way for the Brewers to take the lead, but that they have done. 2-1. Well, if you're Zach Birdie, you got what you wanted.
Got a ground ball, although it was hit awfully hard. Aguilar drives in runs 18 and 19 in the spring.
Couple of sliders. Now the 0-2. Swing and a miss. Brewers take the lead, though, 2-1 on Aguilar's 2-run hit. To the 7th we go. To make a lasting impact on our community. Visit whitesox.com/volunteer corps for more information. New pitcher for Milwaukee is Yan Marinez.
Who last year spent some time at Tampa Bay. Was in AAA with Durham. There you look at the numbers this spring. Pretty decent overall. But more hits than innings pitched. That's not good. He inherits a 1-run lead as the Sox go through the middle of the order, trying to recapture that lost lead.
You may remember Yan Marinez from 2 games with the 2012 White Sox. 2 2/3, 2 hits, 2 walks, 1 strikeout. He was part of the Ozzie Guillen deal. As Abreu takes ball number 1 for the Sox here in the 7th. A bunch of Sox fans have made it up here, by the way. A couple buses dropped on by at Miller Park.
Oh, I know it's terrific. There are a lot of Sox fans, a lot of Sox caps, jerseys, and people on this beautiful Saturday taking the relatively short ride up here.
Big road trip organized by the Young Professionals Council. 168 fans on those buses of young professionals. Ball and 2 strikes on Abreu. Who saw a spike in his OPS late in the year.
Boy, did he ever. It was a very, very tough first couple of months of the season. And Jose, around the All-Star break, just made a conscious decision to bear down and salvage what to that point had been a bad year.
Well, he had a lot of things swirling around in his head too, with his son, and then he ends up a month ago going to testify in that case, and there's just a lot going on for him.
I think this year, with all of those things put behind him, will be a much better year, because this man could just flat out hit. He can hit anybody, he can hit any pitch, and he is a prolific run producer.
1-2 is inside from Marinez. Abreu hammers it, and this ball game is tied.
Four and 15 on the power numbers. The second hit of the afternoon for Jose, and he went down, got a breaking ball, and just flicked it out of the ballpark. Gives you an idea how strong he is, because he didn't get all of this. Fought it off the end of the bat, but it just kept on going. So the lead, very short-lived, and now tied.
That went a long way for not getting all of it.
No, and he didn't. I mean, it was not the sweet spot of the bat.
Here is Leury Garcia to take a called strike 1. Here's strike 2 twice. It's looked like the ball is maybe wrapped around the strike zone as Abreu thinks over his 4th home run of the spring.
We heard so much last year. And we showed you the graph the first couple months. What's wrong with Jose Abreu? Have they figured him out? Is everything okay? What's the deal? And you look, and you've got basically 2 years plus of extremely consistent behavior, and you're inclined to think that that is going to be the norm for the guy rather than the struggle worth of a couple months last year.
No, his numbers are going to be pretty strong across the board. I would have to believe, however, he's in line for a very big year this year, with all the things you talked about that pulled him and pushed him in various directions last year. Those all are gone, leaving him with just this game to worry about and letting his enormous talent come out on a daily basis.
Three and two on Leury Garcia, who looks like he's going to end up being a Swiss Army knife type for the Sox. Play third, second, center. Goes after strike three. Couple pitches were called strikes in that area, so you can't blame him for fishing. One down.
Got 2 strikes. You got to protect. And this one, a very good pitch, just barely off the corner. Certainly too close to take and too far away for contact.
One down, Danny Hayes. A fly out to left and a fly out to center so far this afternoon as the sun creeps in, even with the roof closed here in Milwaukee.
Take a look at the weather reports last night as I watched the news. They were ecstatic with the fact that they actually had sun yesterday toward the end of the day, and saying how exciting it was to actually have sun today also. Way to go, guys.
Aim high, right?
That's it.
After spending months in Arizona, you're watching the news and they are basically dropping confetti from the sky.
Ecstatic about any ray of sun they could get.
2 strikes from Marinez to Hayes. Got a piece.
And also got a piece of Pena. And I'm on the inside of the left leg. Yes, you have shin guards, and yes, it still hurts.
Takes care of all my questions. 0-2. He got him downstairs. 2 away.
Good sinker last pitch.
Marinez has some stuff.
Yeah, the stuff is fine. Pretty good sinker.
So here is the former Brewer, Reimer Liriano, who's cleared waivers. Outrighted to AAA, Reimer Liriano. Into the 7th spot in the lineup, previously occupied by Avi Garcia today. Now, just looking ahead, okay? This game isn't being played in Arizona, so it's a little bit more major league regular season like. It's in a major league ballpark. If this game were to remain tied through 9, would you play extras?
I would be more than happy to go as long as you could to get a resolution of this game.
Right.
That being said, no, you don't. You
Even
won't.
in a major league stadium.
Sure.
Even with the whole day ahead of us.
Yes. Maybe you'd go to the 10th. That maybe, and that would be the end of the line. You don't go over 10 regardless.
Okay.
That is, along with the little-known Juan Cabrera in the lineup at a time. That's a spring training rule. 10 and done.
Marinez strikes out 3 in a row, but the Sox have tied it. Home run for Abreu, 2-2 to stretch time. Brewers with a rally in the 6th inning. Base hit for VR. This error against Leury Garcia on a ground ball from Keon Broxton. There's a walk to Domingo Santana. Then Jesus Aguilar with Yolmer Sanchez moving toward the second base bag. Plugged the gap. And it was 2-1 Milwaukee, but the Sox have come back to tie with a solo homer from Jose Abreu, and we're deadlocked at 2 into the home 7th. There's ball 1 from Zach Birdie, who came in for a portion of that 6th and gave up the 2-run single that very easily could have been the inning-ending ground ball. Two and 0 from Birdie to Pena. Sox will open on Monday. We are now less than 48 hours away from the opener with the Tigers. Off day Tuesday, home Wednesday, Thursday. Mark your calendars. Those are day games. Wednesday, Thursday.
3 o'clock game on Monday.
Yep.
That's a little later than normal for a day game.
Slider for a strike, 2-2. Then over the weekend against Minnesota, 7:10 on Friday, then 1:10 Saturday and Sunday. So mainly day games this first homestand against the AL Central. Birdie gets a swing and a miss from Pena, and that slider must be darting all over the place. He's gotten both Perez and Pena on it.
If you're hitting and you know that a guy throws in triple digits, you have to be ready for the fastball. And consequently, that will create some very awkward swings on sliders, because his slider, with the spin on it as tight as it is, if he doesn't get under it where it stays and floats across on the same plane, if he stays just a bit on top where he gets some depth to it, right-hand hitters are going to have no success whatsoever at that unless he hangs it, and then anybody can hit it.
Here's the ultra-talented Orlando Arcia, who came up late last year for Milwaukee, and they expect to be very important for a team that was troublesome in the field. Led the majors in errors last year, the Brewers did.
And what's been said about Arcia is if he just hits 240 to 250, he's going to make the Brewer team a much better ball club, because of not only does he have good hands, yes he does, but he's got a strong enough arm to throw consistently from the hole, up the middle, off balance. He can do all of those things.
There's a fastball, 1-2 on Arcia. VR now at second base. They have Broxton in center field. Should be a shored up defense for Milwaukee.
Yeah, especially with Arcia being here all year. They're going to have a very strong middle infield.
1-2. There's strike 3. Birdie has 3 straight strikeouts.
Trying to catch up to a high fastball from Birdie is something that most hitters won't be able to do. If he gets the ball down, however, like we saw the pitch to Aguilar, yes, you can drop the head of the bat on that and make pretty good contact, but anything around letter high, maybe you can pop it up if you make contact at all.
Here's Neuenhuis. Take ball 1. Haven't seen much contact even in the foul ball department against Birdie.
Nope, you're not going to, with the liveliness of that fastball.
High and deep to left center field and out of here.
That's fourth home run in the spring for Neuenhuis. He got a fastball that wasn't quite as away as Birdie would have liked it, and reaches out and took it out of the park. Neuenhuis wants it low, and this ball splits the middle of the plate. Neuenhuis takes it opposite field, a towering home run, and just like that, the tie is erased.
Two down and a ball high for Orf. By the way, we mentioned that opening homestand. There are still some tickets available on Monday for the opener. So if you'd like to ditch work, bring your friends. Still some tickets scattered around the ballpark. So stop on by. Sox and Tigers in what should be a very nice pitching matchup.
Yeah, great one. Quintana and Verlander. Verlander off a resurgent 2016, and Jose Quintana, the most wins in a major league uniform was last year.
One of the top 10 pitchers in Major League Baseball the last half decade, Jose Quintana. Just off the plate now, 3-1 on Orf. Check to swing and 3-2. That was a called strike.
It was. Late in the spring training game strike.
Three-two. Check swing foul. There is something about baseball opening day that is unlike any other sports opening day. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's kind of nice to see the bunting all over the stands, and everybody really excited to finally get it going.
I mean, summer's coming.
Eventually, it'll get to Chicago later than most, but it'll get there.
We will have the red carpet rolled out for its arrival. So Sox Tigers Monday, 3:10. Bring your friends. You can watch us in your seats. See us at Chicago. That is inside ball 4. So Orf with a 2-out walk. And that is going to be all for Birdie, it seems. So 3
Only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/Sox to learn more. Wintrust Community Bank, member FDIC. And we've got another of the Sox pensmen coming into this game. It is Michael Ynoa taking over for Zach Birdie. He inherits Orf at first base. There you look at the numbers on for the 11th time this spring. Had a very nice season out of the bullpen last year for the Sox. Looking for more of the same this year.
He will face Kyle Wren, who pinch ran for Broxton in the 6th and scored what turned out to be Milwaukee's lead run. That no longer is the lead run after the Sox retaliated with a run at the top of the 7th and the home run from Neuenhuis here in the bottom of the 7th.
Pretty good spring for Wren.
That ball gets away and Orf peels off for second. Orf on base taking. He moves up 90 feet.
That one got away. Jose had to reach across Orf, could not come up with it.
Kyle Wren was initially in the Braves system.
It was his dad, longtime Brave executive, Frank Wren.
Then the Braves no longer were run in terms of personnel by Frank Wren, and then Kyle was coincidentally moved. Fly ball left field, look out, and it's dropped.
Well, that's not real good communication, unfortunately. Delmonico comes across, and Wasabi calling for it at the end with a little lunge that did not get the job done. One of the guys acquired from the Red Sox says, "I've got it," and did not.
Basabe, who was wearing 91 in Arizona, sees the run come home as the ball rang off his glove. And this should be it. Leury Garcia secures out number 3, but the Brewers retake the lead. Neuenhuis a home run. Then one more comes home on the fly ball. So 4-2 Milwaukee after 7.
remember him wearing either a Minnesota Twins uniform, an Oakland Athletic uniform, but there's Tommy Milone on for the 7th time. He's not had the most productive of all springs. 24 hits in 13 innings will usually cost you some runs, to the tune of almost a 10-point ERA.
His plan this spring was to make the starting rotation. He did not successfully do that. As we get you the answer to Sticks and Stone, you thought Robin Yount.
I thought he did pretty well.
Yeah. 261's not bad.
No, 3 doubles, 1 home run, and a triple. So for the most part, we battled to a standstill, the Hall of Famer and I. They had Molitor and Yount at the top of their order on the team you referred to before, Harvey's Wallbangers, followed by Cecil Cooper and Ben Ogilvy and Gorman Thomas, then Ted Simmons a little bit later on. They got him in 82.
Right?
Yeah, they came over. Pete Vukovich won the Cy Young Award in 82. You had Raleigh Fingers here. They were a good team. Offensively, they were a killer team, and then they assembled some pitching, and they won the division in 1982.
Kevin Smith for Omar Narvaez, and this ground ball to shortstop is out number 1 in the 8th.
With Milone, who throws endless varieties of changeups, both off the breaking ball and the fastball, you just have to wait back and try not to overswing. The best thing to do with him, if you're a right-hand hitter, is take the ball to the arm side, which is the right side of the diamond. That way you won't pull off anything, and you'll be able to stay right with it more times than not, giving you a measure of success against a soft tosser.
Strike 1 to Sanchez. It's been an odd defensive day for the Sox. Sanchez had that ground ball come his way a couple of innings ago that got through as Yolmer was moving toward the bag at second base, and then the error in the bottom of last inning allowed the Brewers to tack on 1 more run. To prove that we don't write our own puns sometime, Chris Kamka says that's Yolmer Sanchez because of all the light coming through. He is out regardless. We don't need any more name changes this year for number 5 for the Sox. Thanks, Chris. Chris Kamka's vaudeville show opening now in Joplin. He'll be there for the remainder of the season.
Imagine my surprise on the plane ride here. Well, actually,
You flew here?
They plane ride to sunny Chicago.
I thought I drove with you.
To look up and see the ominous presence of Chris Kamka boarding the plane.
He was on your flight?
He was. Yes, he was. Of course, he had a spectacular seat. I was back in steerage. Outside of that, everything was fine.
Doesn't seem that there's a row 35 here. Oh, sir, you have the lavatory. Two strikes on Basabe, who's into Jacob May's spot at the top of the card. We expect to see Jacob May starting at center field for the White Sox, something that certainly at the beginning of spring training did not seem like the odds-on favorite to happen.
No, and he's really, that's one of the really nice stories of spring training, when a youngster gets an opportunity that he didn't think he was going to get and then makes the most of it.
It's a foul ball.
So we did talk with him on a broadcast a few games ago, and how excited he was to have come in with a game plan, and his game plan all along, and he mentioned, he said his game plan was to win a spot and start. And if you're going to be invited to spring training and you're going to eventually get an opportunity, especially this spring training because it was a week longer, because some guys were away at the World Baseball Classic, there were some opportunities that you wouldn't have had in a normal spring.
Basabe goes down swinging, and Malone finishes off a 1-2-3 inning, all in the infield. 4-2 Sox trail after 7.5. Melky Cabrera home run, but now trail 4-2 as the Brewers have come up with some late inning thunder this afternoon from Miller Park. Milwaukee with 2 runs in the 6th and 2 more in the 7th to take a 4-2 lead as Domingo Santana bats one last time in spring training for Milwaukee and takes a strike. Interesting shadows currently, Mr. Stone.
I think a little bit better with the roof on than it would be ordinarily, but still some sunshine between the pitcher and the hitter. This is not the greatest visibility.
And strike 2 from Inoa. Sox have used now 6 pitchers today. Derek Holland went 2, didn't allow a run. Miguel Gonzalez 2 perfect innings. He still is, by the way, in the starting rotation, just getting him some work short of his debut in the regular season. That is strike 3. Could have been called strike 3. It's swinging strike 3 instead, and 1 down.
If you're going to ask for an appeal, you're probably going to get a right hand raised. That ball kind of hangs inside. And the appeal? Yes, he did. He certainly did anyway from that angle.
That is one where the side swing look was more significant than I thought it was. I thought it was going to be much closer. That was clearly strike 3. Jesus Aguilar with a 2-run single back in the 6th that gave Milwaukee a temporary lead. Sox tied it on an Abreu homer in the 7th. Then Milwaukee retook the lead in the home 7th.
This seems to be a really good time to pitch.
You think so?
You can see this kind of visibility all the time. The ERAs would be in the 1s. Good time to pitch.
On the ground for out number 2. Where was the park that you pitched that you had the best visibility for a pitcher, the most positive advantage based on sunlight.
Early start Dodger Stadium.
Yep.
Or early start Anaheim. When Nolan Ryan was there, they used to have that 5:30 or 6 o'clock start, especially during the summertime, because visibility was not good, didn't get any better, and if you worked quickly enough, you could get 6 innings in before the hitters had much of a chance. Of course, on those early starts, not too many people had luck with Nolan Ryan.
I mean, what's the hitter seen?
He's just not seeing the whole baseball out of his hand. He's seeing parts of it, sometimes reflections. I mean, you can see right there that it's not easy with the hitter absolutely in bright sunshine and a pitcher very much obscured in the shadows. But for spring training games, toward the end of spring training, just the perfect visibility.
Missed inside, 3-0 on Ivan DeJesus Jr. Michael Inoa at times has battled his own control, but so far in this game has pitched pretty well. Three and one on DeJesus. Now 3-2.
That one right over into the Sox dugout.
Manny Pena, who struck out 3 times, would like to get at least one more crack at it before the regular season starts in earnest. In the air, right-hand side. And there is out number 3. Liriano squeezes it, and a 1-2-3 inning for Inoa. Last licks for the Sox, down 4-2. Jose Quintana.
Should be a great matchup and an exciting opening day with coverage starting at 2 o'clock on CSN. And that's what it will look like with the off day after opening day. And then Detroit provides the opposition for 2 more before Minnesota comes to town. And then after the off day on Monday, it's on to Cleveland. And that's the early part of the year. A lot of Central Division foes is Taylor Youngman trying to put an end to this one with a 4-2 lead.
Texan right-hander for the Brewers throws strike one to Everth Cabrera.
It's been quite a spring for him. When you look at those numbers, on for the 13th time and his ERA at 1.26. He's a large right-hander.
A tall drink of water, as they say.
You're not going to head them off at the pass, are you?
That's Hitley. 0-2 on Everth Cabrera. Checked his swing and no appeal. Appeals court is closed. A lot of fans have stuck around for the final outs here.
Yeah, we're 17,000 on a beautiful Saturday.
Up the middle and through. Base hit for Cabrera. Sox have been the kings of spring training rallies this year.
Hold them in pretty good stead if they can continue that throughout the year. Scoring late is a good thing. Something that didn't happen quite as much as the Sox would have liked last year, but a chance for Nicky Delmonico.
It was the story of the early season when the Sox were really rolling. The 7th, 8th, and 9th innings, there were some very remarkable rallies, but then late in the year, after that first month and a half, 2 months, it just wasn't there.
Not much, no. Nick Capra giving his set of signs at third. Darrell Boston at first. Reminding Cabrera, do not get doubled up on a line drive.
Youngman misses low, ball and a strike. Well, Jose Abreu is still in this game, and he is on deck. Of the regulars, when he has started late in spring training, he has made his way basically to the ends of games over the last couple that we've had. He homered back in the 7th. And so with a rally bubbling up, Delmonico trying to continue it. 1-2. Everth Cabrera at first, 1 ball, 2 strikes. On the ground and through. Base hit, Delmonico. Cabrera books it for third. Runners at the corners, nobody out.
Late inning thunder. Double base hits up the middle, back to back, putting the tying runs on. So runners at the corners and nobody out.
For Jose Abreu, whose homer in the 7th inning at that time tied the game. Why not, right? Have a good taste in your mouth at the end of spring training. Strike one from Youngman. Checked his swing, ball in the dirt. And 1-1. 2 homers, the only offense for the Sox this afternoon. A solo shot from Melky in the first. A solo shot from Jose in the 7th. One and 2. The Brewers have been playing Abreu to pull significantly all afternoon long, and they do it again.
It's really against how a lot of other teams play him, because the outfield is straight away. Normally, if they play him even to pull at all, they'll put the center fielder toward right center field. But I think this would show you the way they're lined up defensively is that when they do have to go get him with a fastball, they would like to throw it in on his hands, and thinking because of that he is going to pull the ball. Outfield is pretty much straight away.
2-2. Fouled off.
Kind of a hanging breaking ball that Jose knew was too close to take. Pretty much of a defensive swing as he thinks at the last moment, I better swing at this one. Brought his hands in, able to fight it off and stay alive.
Youngman trying to figure out how to deal with Abreu, and Jose blasts it to left field. It's 4-3. Abreu is into second, and the Sox have the lead run at second base with nobody out.
Something that Craig Counsell is going to talk to his outfielders about. That is getting the ball into second base, making sure that the potential go-ahead run as the trailer on this play doesn't go to second. Not a particularly good throw, and not well thought about, because on the play Abreu went into second base representing the go-ahead run. Nobody out, runners at second and third.
So second and third for Leury Garcia. And there's ball one. So Matt Davidson to pinch run for the Sox. And 2-0 on Garcia. If only you could can this and use it in a couple days. Not close. 3-0.
Late comebacks. If that becomes a trademark of this team, they're going to be in pretty good shape, as Danny Hayes, who's also gone the distance in this one, in the on-deck circle.
That is ball four.
Brewers bullpen continues to work as Youngman has had all kinds of problems.
That was a first walk by a Brewers pitcher to a Sox batter today. And Danny Hayes, who had a grand slam the final week of Cactus League play, has the bases loaded with nobody out, and he takes a hook for a strike. Fastball command isn't really Youngman's thing this afternoon.
No, he's fallen behind. He's made some very hittable pitches. There you see bases. full of White Sox players.
Breaking ball, 1-2. Reimer Liriano is on deck. Sox trying to break through with Danny Hayes. 1-2. Another breaking ball, and that's fouled off the Brewers catcher. Pena is not a happy camper.
Looks like it caught some of his throwing hand. Because it did. Yeeks. That's not good.
One and two. Into right field. This could tie the game. It does. Safe. Throw to third is not in time. The catcher, the replacement for Pena, is down. It's like Rene Garcia for Milwaukee.
He went down right on contact. Now he's crossed over into the base runner. And Delmonico gives him a pretty good shot. Looks like the left knee. We'll watch it again as he comes and he collides with him, bending back that right knee. Looks like the left knee.
Yeah, the right one was the lead one.
Yep.
And it looked like Delmonico came on the backside. So Rene Garcia, the Brewers catcher, is down, and he's going to need some help to get off the field. Just an awful situation for the ninth inning of the final spring training game.
It really is. It's the baseball and Nicky Delmonico essentially getting to the same spot at the same time. And he did slide, trying to get to the plate and knock the glove off his hand. And Garcia just crumbled at the plate.
It's a legal play. I mean, Nicky Delmonico did everything you would ask somebody to do with a right to the plate.
Looked like just as he went to plant his left knee and get down into the tagging position, Nicky just slid right into him. And quite obviously the play becomes secondary as they're bringing a stretcher out for him.
That leg had nowhere to go.
Nope.
My goodness. Well, Rene Garcia is down. And they will help him off the field here at Miller Park. Just an awful situation for the final inning of spring training. Milwaukee's training staff with Rene Garcia, the Brewers catcher. And they're going to help him off the field. Take off his catching equipment. We're going to step aside while the Brewers training staff helps Garcia off the field here in the 9th inning at Miller Park. Played. Nicky Delmonico with a slide into home, and Garcia was blocking the plate, but only because the throw took him into the line. So that's the type of situation that, you know, is kind of the outlier in the new catching rule, where there's no blocking the plate. But if the ball goes up the line and you need to be in the baseline to receive the ball, you're able to do that. That's the only thing that now, under the baseball rules, would take you into the baseline as it stands, as it's drawn out on the field, in order to block the plate. So it was a legal play both ways, is what I'm saying here. And it ended up with an injury to Garcia that looks very serious. Training staff being very careful with Garcia. And they will secure him on the board and take him off the field. the score in spring training never matters, but it has never mattered less than right now to the Milwaukee Brewers, who have seen a lead go away here in the 9th inning, but their catcher, Rene Garcia, is down. Garcia was in for the starter, Manny Pena, late in the game. A big round of applause for Rene Garcia as he will depart via the medics here at Miller Park. You could veritably ask the question, why play the game? Why play the rest of this game? Right?
There's a certain amount of validity to that.
I mean, I know you want to get guys situations and all that, but there's clearly a serious injury here.
Yep. There is that. Otherwise, they wouldn't have secured, especially his neck.
Yeah.
So it has to be probably along with the knee issue, situation of whiplash, and I think they're going out there now to maybe talk about it, and they might decide to just kind of thank you very much and we will see you down the road. But
well, all the thoughts are with Rene Garcia right now. Let's see what these staffs decide to do with the remainder of this spring training game. But
I'd actually think what you're going to see is this is going to go 9 innings regardless of what happens. I think maybe they decided on that. It would look, at least because the players have not left the field, that they're going to continue to play and get a resolution to this half inning.
well, we all will be thinking about Rene Garcia as he leaves the field here at Miller Park. When the medics bring out the neck brace, the initial thought was knee, but then with how carefully they were trying to stabilize him, if we get a report before we leave air, we will let you know. But just an awful turn in the final inning of spring training. There's a new pitcher in the game. I mean, what do you say? It's spring training, and
yes, Corey Knebel on for the 10th time. There you look at the rest of the numbers with 15 strikeouts and 9 1/3. He's going to inherit, at least for the moment, a tie game.
You think if the Sox score, they're going to call it?
No, I think they'll let him hit the bottom of the 9th, and then regardless of what they do, I think then they'll call it.
Well, guarantee that nobody feels worse than Nicky Delmonico, but he went in clean. I mean, that's as clean of a slide as you're going to see. He said, if you're reading lips, he said, I tried to slide.
He did slide.
He did.
As a base runner with a catcher obscuring your path to the plate, that's about the best you can do. You're certainly not going to run him over in this day and age of baseball. Of course, Knebel will have as much as he wants to loosen up. Knebel, rather, will have as much as he wants to loosen up. Is he Knable?
He might be able to do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Here's Reimer Liriano, the former Brewer. Second and third, one out. And Reimer Liriano, the batter for the Sox.
The infield in at all 4 positions. Outfield straight away.
Check swing, and he did not go. I mean, it's odd to restart a game if it's in the playoffs. It's just a weird feel regardless, but in spring training, in the final inning of spring training, what, are they going to intentionally walk Liriano now?
Yep.
I think so. I didn't see the smoke signal.
That was it.
Yep, there you go.
It was the dismissive little wave. Get on down there.
Get out, scram.
We've seen enough of you. Be gone to first base.
This is a very serious spring training finale. We're intentionally walking people too. Here's Smith. On the grounded foul. It's going to be difficult this year to figure out when somebody's been intentionally walked. You're just going to start to go to first.
Well, then you figure it out. Okay, he's walked.
We need a giant placard of some kind that people can hold up, or a green light or a red light. Here's the sequence on the intentional walk. New catcher looks into the dugout. All right, get out of here. You're going to first.
We've lost our usefulness for you. Next hitter, bring him on.
You're no longer welcome here. So if you had any questions, you can intentionally walk somebody after a couple pitches. 1-2 on Smith.
Last ball might have scored the go-ahead run, but the ball hit John Tumpain as it was wending its way by and stayed around home plate.
Ball and 2 strikes on Kevin Smith. Sox have tied the game here in the 9th inning. First 4 reached in the inning.
Tried to throw it away, but a good stop. Slider in the dirt. That one could have easily gotten by, but didn't.
Two and 2. Called strike 3, 2 out.
Good curveball, buckles the knees of Kevin Smith, and he gets rung up.
So here's Eddie Alvarez. who will hit with the bases loaded and 2 down in this 9th inning. That's ball 2. 2-0 to the speed skater, the Olympic silver medalist, Eddie Alvarez. Two and one. Corey Knebel, Brewers pitcher, trying to hang on to this 4-4 tie in the 9th. Two and two.
Nothing fancy there, just threw a fastball right by him.
Bases loaded, 2 down, 2 and 2 for Alvarez. That's strike 3. Fastball down the middle. Brewers last at bat coming up, 4-4 tie. Finale, 4-4 tie. Sox and Brewers. We believe that this will be all for Milwaukee and Chicago in spring training. Michael and Oa trying to keep it right here. The Sox and Brewers with a tie would both finish at 500. This Cactus League turned Milwaukee.
And because at this point it's the best you can do, barring going deep into extra innings. And of course, I'm the one in the booth that does not have the flight afterwards, so I'm figuring play it out, play it to its logical conclusion.
So
even if it takes till 8 o'clock at night. What time is your flight?
That's fine. Yeah. Here's Jet Bandy, catcher over from the Angels.
Of course, this does play into the ever popular surge pricing of my taking you to the airport.
You are the worst.
Well, under the circumstances,
Sheer capitalist.
You're in no position to negotiate.
Yeah, you are the worst, and I am in the worst position. Bandy with a swing and a miss. All joking aside, though, you could make the argument after an injury like that the game would not continue. You could make that argument, and we certainly hope that Rene Garcia is okay after what looked like a pretty serious injury in the top of this 9th inning. Two balls and a strike on Bandy from Inoa. Out of play, 2-2. Should be a fun season for the Sox. There will be some ups and downs, certainly. There will be some young players coming up through the minors as we move along throughout the season. But that's going to be part of the fun of 2017 is the influx of new talent at points along the way.
And I think we're both going to be entertained, as the fans will be, in watching a team that will be more aggressive this year than what we've seen in some of the years past.
Bandy gets hit.
It's a winning run. Good on base. Tried low and away, and that was not low and away. Unfortunately, he was able to get his shoulder up. So he's aboard.
Eric Sogard will hit in the 8th spot, previously occupied by Arcia. Bandy's off, and Bandy easily is into second base.
That's just a mental mistake, because Inoa never looked at him. That's a base running by Bandy. He realized that Inoa's not looking at him. He just delivers the ball home, and there's the winning run, given 90 feet.
With a guy named Jet, you should at least take a peek.
That'd have been a good idea. Now it sets up a bunt to the left side.
You think?
I would think so.
Let's see. Let him swing. You know, there's a history of ties here in Milwaukee.
There is.
Yeah. All-Star game shenanigans.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. That gets away, and Bandy is up to third.
So this inning is starting off well. That one almost hit him. And so it puts the winning run 90 feet away.
3-0 on Sogard. Bandy at third. And the Brewers fans start to rise. You will let him swing away on 3-0?
I would find no reason not to. I don't think that Craig Counsell is going to let him, but at this point, you might as well let him try to be a hero.
Infield in, outfield in.
Outfield has to get to the length of where they can throw the ball.
He takes a strike. Three balls, one strike on Sogard. Bandy the winning run at third for Milwaukee. Called a strike. Kirk Neuenhuis, who homered back in the 7th to, at that point, give Milwaukee the lead. He's on deck. 3-2 from Inoa. Sogard swings and misses, one down.
Well, now you don't face New and Ice. You put him on first base. Throws a high fastball by him.
There he goes. The drama of the intentional walk.
There it is. You've seen it employed twice.
Joe McEwing with some signals to the defense. Double play is in order. And it'll be Nate Orf to face somebody.
Good to have a meeting at the mound in this situation to clarify for the infield when you should try for two and when you just have to go home with it. Not a difficult concept, because if you don't think you can turn two, if it's slow developing play, obviously you got to come home or game over. So you can't afford to get too deep in the middle infield is what it amounts to. So they're talking it over, and the talk is over.
Sox trailed 4-2 going into this inning. Scored 2 runs in the top of the 9th, and now Michael Inoa trying to keep it right there after the intentional walk to Nieuwenhuis. Fouled away. Runners off from first, and Nieuwenhuis goes to second. So double play is out of order.
It is that.
And they're going to intentionally walk Orf. Orf to first. Bases loaded, 1 out.
And another meeting at the mound.
Yep.
And now it looks like a change of pitchers.
It's got to be. It's his second meeting at the mound. Bases loaded, 1 out. New pitcher after this.
Connor Walsh will inherit the bases loaded in the 9th inning that would never end.
It is a lengthy affair. We are tied, Sox and Brewers. Connor Walsh, a Cincinnati Bearcat, who played 25 games in Winston-Salem last year, 6 with Double-A Birmingham, by way of Berlin, Pennsylvania. So he will get his taste of Miller Park. It'll be Kyle Wren to bat with the bases loaded and 1 out. Opportunity for a young man who was just drafted a couple years ago, Walsh, to face a tight spot. 12th round pick 3 seasons ago by the Sox to face Wren, who reached on the error by Basabe in the 7th.
Same defensive alignment, infield in at all 4 positions, outfield in at all 3 positions.
That's ball 1. You're measuring time by the sun. Take a look at the beginning of the 9th inning. 1-0. That's a fastball right down the pike. 1-1. It's a nice correction off the first pitch.
First one, tried to get a breaking ball over. Having failed at that, went back to the fastball.
Called strike 2.
Missed with the first curveball, came back with another one, this one in the zone or relatively close.
One and 2 from Walsh. And that'll do it. Milwaukee wins in comeback fashion for the spring training finale.
Bernie decides to slide down the slide. The Brewers win this one, and they will wind up with a record over 500 for the spring. The Sox will dip below 500, but fortunately, spring training 2017 has concluded. After the off day, the regular season awaits.
Can't wait.
We will see you then.
Can't wait, Steve. Look forward to it. That'll do it for us from Miller Park. For our director, Jim Angio, stage manager extraordinaire, Keon Dolachahi, associate producer, Chris Kamka, tech manager, Mark Harper, the executive producer, Jim Corno Jr. He's Steve Stone. I'm Jason Benetti. So long from Miller Park. You've been watching Chicago White Sox baseball. See you for the regular season.